And now, from the city of brotherly love, a man who has finally discovered his microphone. Welcome, everyone, to the ChiCast. I'm your host, the voice of mindfulness, Marcus Julian Combo, coming to you live with a dress rehearsal ahead of time. TCMW Studio, here in the city of brotherly love. And a little shout out to my good friend Arlette for letting me know in the comments that I was messing up. I was messing up big time. So I made a little goof as your voice of mindfulness. And as I was setting up a new set of overlays today, I guess the mic reset to some strange setting that I didn't know. And I guess I did the entire ChiCast a half hour ago with no audio going at all. And it was the greatest ChiCast I've ever done, and now it's gone. No, that's not necessarily true. And in fact, I've actually found that a little goof on the first run through helps the second run go through a little bit smoother, which is always nice. And I hope that this day finds you cool and a little smoother with all the hot weather going on, the heat waves, the literal waves of fire around the world right now. Wow, yeah, no matter where you look, it's it's something out there. So, stay safe. I hope, I really do hope this finds you healthy and finds you comfortable with these words. So, and I guess that's a good segue into what we're talking about today, which is authenticity, right? Including, specifically, I want to say, is a particular facet of authenticity, which is, how can you tell when something's authentic and something's not? And that's a question. That's a big question. Because right now, we live in a time where inauthenticity seems abundant versus the authentic, which seems few and far between. And there's a big question of what can be done about that. How can we tell the difference between someone being authentic and someone who isn't necessarily being authentic at the point of contact? Yes. I see we're getting some viewers in, so if you can hear me this time, do comment below or give a like or a little bit of life and steam there, just so we know you're out there and you can hear me. Otherwise, I guess we'll do this a third time until we get it right. I'm happy to talk all day, but I'm definitely going to need more tea if I keep having these dress rehearsals, that's for sure. So, speaking of authenticity, I'll be authentic with you right now. My anxiety is a little up because I've been talking to an empty void for the last half hour. But understanding that that's really on me. That's my nervousness. That's just the perfectionist saying, oh, we should have checked. We should have got it right on the first time. But why? Authentically, when have you ever gotten it right on the first time? That wasn't simply beginner's luck. I mean, for me, that's at least how my first birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese went. And so I've been collecting tickets ever since. No, that is not true. I was never good at getting tickets at those things ever again. Some of you would walk out with buckets of tickets, and I would sit there and just be all jelly of you. It's bad. But here's the thing. If I wanted to get more tickets in that moment, it would behoove me to actually talk to the people with the big bucket of tickets, would it not? After all, they're not telling me how to get tickets. They've already shown me they can get tickets. I need to learn what they know, right? And so in this moment, that's where we learn the difference between the authentic and the inauthentic. It seems like this should be instinctual, but the reality is it really isn't. It really isn't. For how could you know what's actually authentic if you're the new guy? If you're the person that just walked through the door, that you're in the market for the thing that you walked through the door for, how are you supposed to know that the thing that you get from the place you walked in is the thing, in fact, that you need? You follow? Well, you're going to have to rely on the people that are there. Or what if they're nefarious? Well, how would you know? What I'm saying is, give yourself some absolution in the beginning. If you have been taken in by someone who is an inauthentic person, be it in a romantic relationship, a business relationship, maybe someone in your family, but somewhere along the line, inauthenticity burned something important to you, whether it was time, money, possessions, relationships. And you have to absolve yourself here. Because how would you have known? How would you have known that this person who claimed to be your friend and seemed to have shared interests with you, how are you to know that that wasn't the case, since it was your first time through the door? So absolution for yourself if you've been bamboozled or hoodwinked or something like that before. Don't beat yourself up. On the other hand, the way to really sort of hack authenticity is to be authentic yourself. And so the show don't tell model really comes into play. And one of the reasons there's a difference between the two and how you can tell the difference, because one can be shown through words and one can be told through a show. And the difference between the two is that a tell is something which comes from on high. It's authoritative. It's thou shalt not. I just want to see if we've got everything going here in the chat. Okay. So where was I? So the one thing about the tell, it's going to come from on high. It's going to be an edict. And laws, edicts, rules, they're all based ultimately on consequence. Consequence is a factor of fear. And fear doesn't put us at our top game. In fact, we know neurologically that fear gets in the way of creativity, gets in the way of clear thinking, being able to take direct action, making clear choices. So when you're being told, you'll find yourself a little on edge. Versus when you're being shown. When you're being shown, this is the teach a man to fish sort of model. This is where someone is investing in you internally to allow you to be the best you can be. Now, you may be asking the question, why would anyone do this? Why would someone, for any reason, altruistically invest in me? And the reason is, they're selfish. They might not even know they're selfish. But they're the good kind of selfish. They're the selfish we want. Because ultimately, what's happening is by them investing in you, they're getting to spend time with the thing that you share your passion about. And so for them, they're loving this. Because while you're getting interesting insights that may even seem simplistic in instruction, they're getting a whole new lens. You're going to ask questions they never thought of, although they know the answer. And so you will bring new facets of this thing that they love forward. And while you're in puppy love with this new thing you're doing, they're asking for its hand in marriage. And that's all thanks to you. It's pretty selfish. And yet, super helpful. On the other side, a lot of people who try to be helpful like to tell people what to do. I don't care what side of the boat you're on. Because ultimately, we're trying to guide other people's actions. Or force other people's actions in this case. Because the guidance is a gentle meandering. It's going to make it there. It's got a trajectory, but rivers, they twist, they wind, sometimes they hairpin, they do weird things. Water finds its easiest place. It's a lazy molecule. So it is going to find whichever, it doesn't care where it gets taken, but it's going to get there. In the most efficient and lazy way possible. And we could all learn a thing or two from the behavior of water. I thought I heard a crinkle crankle. I thought we had a guest star here for a second. So I apologize. Now, the good news about being authentic, or trying to figure out what is authentic and what is inauthentic, is you can practice this for yourself. Are you living the life you want to live? That's a really big question. Let's start small. Are you buying the type of socks you want to buy? Are you wearing the style of clothes you want to buy? Are you want to wear? Are you styling your hair the way you want, or the way you can in some cases? Are you surrounded by the people you want to be surrounded by? Are you making the contacts you think you should be making? Are you shopping and supporting the things you feel you should, the things you are called to? Are you doing those things? I can answer that for you. But if any one part of that is no, then it's not authentic. Now, hopefully, it's something as simple as wearing a different colored pair of socks, and if it is, good on you. But if it's slightly more, oh, okay. If there's slightly more going on, then you totally lose your train of thought. Let me go back. So, ultimately, what I'm trying to get at, wherever I lost my space there, what I'm trying to get at is as you practice being authentic in small ways, right? Whatever exercise you want to do, whatever foods you want to eat, right? That you feel you should eat. Not that you're told you should eat, but in many ways you're shown you should eat. And one size doesn't fit all. That's one of the other issues with being told. It often lends itself to a one way of thinking. One size fits all. And that can be very dangerous. At the same time, in the showing situation, suddenly we're learning how. Because, one, we're embodying the things that we believe. That's really the thing, right? To embody the things you believe. Because ultimately, whoops, slipped there. Ultimately, if you do that, the world is going to interact with you in an authentic way. Now, you may not enjoy the way that the world interacts with you. And that, in its own right, is something that you'll have to face. And potentially make the decision of being authentic and fighting, being authentic and leaving, or choosing not to be authentic at all. And if you're stuffing down your authentic self, how can you see the authenticity in others? Because our own egos, they're tough. They're strong. Refuel the voice there. So let's really put to the test the idea of practice. Picture yourself, picture your highest, whatever you think your final form in this moment is. In what little ways can you change in order to aspire to that? The small ways. Maybe it is something as simple as a slight change in the way you tie your shoes. A new piece of jewelry that spurs, ultimately, an entire new wardrobe. Or wise words that spin into an entirely new life. This, too, is possible. It's beautiful. But you can only do this by doing it. And you are going to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We all fail. We all fall short daily. But every day we get a little better. And we are measured over the courses of our lifetimes, not on our day to day. We don't remember all the rainstorms. We just remember that it rained. And what we remember was what it was really like most of the time, whether it be cold, warm, hot, like right now. So now the other side of this is that if you walk in the footsteps, if you do the work, you start to learn what it takes to do the work. You start to learn what authentic looks like and what doesn't. Because like is often used against people. And I stress this. What is often used against people is the concept, the idea that it's on you. And while that is true to some degree, there's a bigger focus on the fact that if they are your teacher, they should be showing you. And oftentimes in these situations, what happens is the goalpost gets moved, or the standard is set so high that even if it's achievable by some, it's some that are close already, not those who are starting from scratch. I've seen this in the fitness world. Mike Tyson put out a thing about if you drink cold water versus warm water, one burns fat. One makes your body burn fat better than the other. Now, I'm not going to debate whether or not that's true. I'll even grant you that it is for the sake of our argument. The amount it would help really only becomes a concern when you are competing, when you have gotten to a level that you are searching for every little hack to get further and further gains, because gains and improvement will get harder and harder as you get better and better until you max out your potential. Hopefully. I hope every one of you pushes until your potential maxes out. I really do. So that you can look back and say, you know what, I gave it all I got. And in that moment, as you're doing that, as you're rising, that is you showing versus telling. But right now, tell me, who are the authentic people that you have known? Who are the folks that showed? They didn't tell. Even if they spoke with you, even if there were words of advice, their words of advice rang and showed to be true. They were words that they themselves lived by, as opposed to given to you as some sort of weird experiment that they're trying to do in order to find the guts to take the step themselves. A lot of us do that. Until we're ready to do it ourselves, to really put the work in, right? To put in the time, instead of looking for the hacks. There'll be a time for that, but in the beginning, just like finding authenticity, in the beginning you have to avoid those beginner traps. Now you can take someone who's in pretty decent shape and in 30 days kind of turn them into a semi-beast. But you're not going to be able to do that with someone who's starting from scratch. I would not have been able to do that. I don't know anyone who I've seen rehabilitate their body do that. It was always from scratch, and it's a lifetime thing, which sounds crazy when you're hearing it in the beginning, because it's like, oh my God, there's this mountain. You're looking at everybody who's already climbed it, and you're like, I can never get up there. And the reality is, you're right. You, as you exist at that moment, will not be the person that gets up to the top of that mountain. But as long as you keep walking up the mountain, as long as you keep showing the mountain that you have not given up, you are authentically climbing the mountain. Whatever your mountain is, be it in your professional life, personal life, spiritual life, even your domestic life. Maybe you want to clean up the house a little more often. I certainly do. So perhaps you work it into your routine. Everybody needs a rest day. What do you do on yours? Fold laundry? That's a good one. That's like zen, super zen. So, yeah, tell us below. What are your thoughts on the authentic? What are your thoughts on practicing the authentic? Are you living the authentic life, or were there aspects of your life that you found were inauthentic that you changed? What was the result of that? Tell us below, good, bad, or indifferent, because we'll shine light on all the shadows. And that's how we buff out the crags, right? Bring everything into the light. So with that, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell button so when I go live, you'll be notified. And hopefully I'll have my mic on when that happens. And do share us on this, or share the ChiCast on the socials, wherever, at with Marcus, sometimes with an underscore, but with Marcus will get you to me. Yeah, and also, as you go about your day, make sure to keep it all simple, even the complicated stuff. Be patient. Be patient with the people that you come across today. And at every step of the way, treat yourself with compassion. I'm Marcus Julian Carbo. Thank you for joining me from the ChiCast here, TCWM Studio. I will see you next